Hello, my dears. Danielle here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. Now, I've got a question for you, and I want you to be totally honest, all right? If you have other people around or whatever, just answer this in your head. Just be super, super honest with yourself. Do you get caught up in the vanity numbers on social media? And when I talk about vanity numbers, how many people are following you? How many people are liking your post? Are you someone that's embarrassed that you only have 426 followers on Instagram or that your post only got 15 likes? So here's the deal. When you're running a brick and mortar business like a spa, the primary thing that you should be focusing on is creating engaging content for your ideal client that lives within a reasonable distance from your spa so that they may actually come in and receive a treatment from you. So everything you do in your business should have an ROI, including social media. If you're a longtime listener, you've probably heard me say that 10 million times already. That is the exact reason why when I see these daisy chains of follow my page, let's follow one another, all those daisy chains in the different like esthetician Facebook groups, I just want to shout, no, don't do it. You're messing up your algorithm, because I'd rather have 500 local engaged followers who could potentially become my clients over 5,000 people from all across the country. And that big number of 5,000 can make your ego feel good, but the truth is it's not going to put food on the table, right? And if this is you, don't stress. Like, we've all been there. I mean, I used to run a Facebook group where I thought those daisy chains were the coolest thing. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's support one another. That was before I really understood social media on a deep level and understood how important it is to control that algorithm and shape it in a way that's going to drive business to you. Okay? It's so, so important. So if we know that we've got to focus on building a social media following that could potentially be clients, that's the new question. Like, how do you do that? How do you build a following on Instagram that could be potential local clients to come in? And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today with my dear friend, my long-term copywriter, and my business Inside Post with Purpose, our social media membership that teaches you how to create a month's worth of social content in 2 hours. Incredible. Danielle Pastula. So I know in the group it's Daniela and Danielle, so that gets a little confusing sometimes, but Danielle is a social media and branding whiz, and she really has done so much for my business that it's just, it wouldn't be right for me to not share her expertise with you, because she's a huge part of our success, and I want her to be able to help you as well. So in this interview, she's going to walk us through some very simple strategies that you can use to start to build up that local following. And as an extra bonus for you guys, over in the Spa Marketing Resources portal, I don't know if you guys have logged into that yet or checked that out yet, but we have a free resources portal for the podcast. If you remember, we are going after 1 million downloads this year. Big, big goal. And we said that every 25 reviews that we get on iTunes, we're going to release a free resource. Well, all of those resources, those free resources, are being released inside of this portal. And so make sure that you sign up for that. If you haven't already, we'll have a link below this video and below this episode. But one of our it was our very first resource that we released was a training that was actually taken out of Post with Purpose. And it's a screen share walking you through the exact process of how you're going to do local hashtag research to figure out what hashtags you need to be using in your post to attract a local following. So this episode, along with that free training, is going to be a total game changer in your business. So super excited. You may want to listen to this one twice. You're going to get so much value out of it. So I'm sure you guys are ready to jump in. Again, you may need to listen to this one twice, but I will go ahead and play that interview for you guys. All right, Danielle, I'm so happy to have you on the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. And I'm sure our listeners are happy. Your episode that we did on branding, I don't remember that. What was the exact title? Do you remember that?
Oh, I should know because I wrote it. Something about something social media and branding. Really.
Well, we will link it up, but it was in our top 5 most downloaded episodes. I was just looking. So it was a super popular episode. I knew that I wanted to bring you back on as now my business partner with Post with Purpose, my longtime copywriter and social media and branding and marketing and all things copywriting expert to talk about specifically Instagram and how estheticians can build a local following. So over in the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group, we've talked a lot. People are saying, hey, I've got people from all over following me. But kind of the premise in Post with Purpose is like Post with Purpose, right? We're using social media to attract our ideal clients. It should have an ROI. It's not just for the vanity numbers. It's to build connections with potential and current clients. And so using hashtags, using geotagging, those are all strategies that estheticians can use to make sure that their following is local. So I'm going to let you just go ahead and kind of explain what the heck that means for those who are like, what?
Yeah. So Instagram has a lot of really awesome features built into the platform. And I mean, there's a lot of them between having different channels like your feed, your stories, your IGTV, but then you've got little features that get plugged into all of those sub platforms is what I call them. And that would be your hashtags and geotagging. And you can do that on any piece of content that you're sharing to Instagram. You can incorporate hashtags and geotagging. And these are the 2 elements that are going to get you found as a local business owner. Because otherwise, when you're not using these 2 features, that's where you are really leveraging Instagram more as a global account. When I say global, meaning you could be getting on the pages of people who live in entire other countries than you or across the country from you. And as a spa owner, your goal is to get people who live in your direct area through your doors. Someone who lives a few states over, while it's nice that they're encouraging you or commenting on your stuff, it doesn't really give you the return on your investment, on your time and your energy that you're spending on social.
And it adjusts your algorithm too, right? Like if you're, and what we want with the Instagram algorithm is to be able to be showing up more frequently in local people, local to your spa's search, where if you're not using hashtags or if you're not using them correctly, you can be living in Florida and show up in California, and that's nice, but it doesn't do you a whole lot of good as far as getting people in the door.
Exactly. And like when I'm doing social media for your account, I'm using those hashtags that are not locally based because you don't have a local audience. We can cater to people in Florida or California, but so for instance, I live in Florida. If I'm a local spa owner here, I want to be using the hashtags that aren't even Florida, but actually like my direct area, whether that's hashtag I live in Jacksonville, Florida, hashtag Jacksonville spa, hashtag Jacksonville esthetician, hashtag Jacksonville facials. These are all, and I have kind of a category of how I break down hashtags so we can talk on that. But it's very important that you're using these things because like you said, if you're not, the algorithm's not doing you any favors. People like to really talk badly about the algorithm, but the algorithm's actually there to help you if you know what levers to pull and what to put in place so that the algorithm can recognize you and say, hey, she's using a lot of hashtags and location tags in this area. We need to show her content to people who are also using those hashtags in that area, because those are the people who are going to connect. Instagram is all about connecting people and being a community. So that's how you have to think about it.
And I think that perfectly illustrates why estheticians should not be using Esthetician Life or anything like that, because that is going to show your post to other estheticians. If you're an educator, if you're wanting to do training or anything like that, 100% use those. But if you're trying to get people into your spa, then leave those at the door.
Yeah. It's all about knowing who you're speaking to, who your ideal. And I mean, that's something we go really in depth with in Post with Purpose, but just the core concept of really knowing who your ideal client is, who are you speaking to? Because if you are speaking to that more global client through, you're expanding your brand to include that educational element and whatnot, yes, you can start talking to more of those people, because that's who you're trying to attract. But when it's local hashtags are where it's at. So if you want, I can go into the way I kind of
how you break them down. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah. So, and first I'll just say there's a big debate on how many hashtags do I use? Let me just address that from the get-go. I have tested this over and over again. I've done it with various accounts of varying sizes in terms of followership and engagement level across the board. Using 5 hashtags versus 30 makes no difference in terms of your account being flagged as quote unquote spammy. Instagram gives you 30 hashtags to use on a feed post. And in my opinion, those are 30 little individual opportunities to get found. Hashtags act like keywords that you would type into your Google search bar in a way. So when you're not using all 30 on a feed post, in my opinion, that's like leaving opportunity on the table. And when it comes to your stories, you can use it. It changed. It's now you can use 3 hashtags in your stories typed using the type tool. If you use the hashtag sticker that comes up when you're like adding a GIF or a poll or something like that, you can only use 1. And that's per slide. Using hashtags and stories is actually like my favorite thing right now, because not a lot of people are doing it. So then when it comes to breaking down your hashtags, you've got what I call the local category. So that's like purely local hashtags. And I'll just use Jacksonville as an example because I have them off the top of my head. Hashtag Jax is rad. Hashtag Jax Beach Life. Hashtag Jacksonville FL. Those are all local based tags. They don't talk about any specific topic. They're just for the local area. If I go in there, I can see, okay, are my ideal type of clients using these tags? You want to narrow in on, I like to come up with like 20 different hashtags per each of these segments I'm going to give you, because that gives you a really good pool to pull from, where then you can say, okay, I'm going to pull 10 from each column and create my 30 hashtag clouds. I use air quotes there, clouds. So local tags. Then you've got your hyper community local tags. So hashtag Jax Moms, hashtag Jax Yoga. If you are talking about,
depending on who your ideal client is.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, you have to get really specific on it. You can't just be using hashtag Jacksonville real estate when you're a spa, unless you are speaking specifically to, I don't know, maybe your real estate referral partner or something, or you're doing a shout out to someone. Don't use hashtags that aren't related to your post or to your content, because that is what makes hashtags spammy. But find those more niche type of local based hashtags that don't necessarily have to do with aesthetics, but that have to do with your ideal client. Then you've got your local based profession tags. And that's where, if you're a lash artist, hashtag Jacksonville lash artist, hashtag Jax lashes, hashtag lash studio, hashtag brow studio. You have to just like go in and search these things. And that's the hardest part, right? Is just doing the research. But once you come up with a good solid list for each one of those sections, then you can start pulling together your hashtag clouds that take 7 from this group, 7 from this group, 7 from this group to create, a cloud.
Would it be 10?
Well, 10, I guess. I like to, and this is where I get kind of nerdy with the whole thing. I like to create clouds that are a little shorter, just because then when I'm actually posting a post, it gives me a few hashtags worth of wiggle room to insert a brand. So let's say I'm highlighting a specific treatment or a specific retail brand or whatnot. I like to leave a little room so that I can add in very specific hashtags for
like microneedling, hydrofacial, revision, like whatever
Okay. So that's where I like to give just a little bit of that like extra room.
Okay. So really step one for estheticians that are using hashtags is to spend the time to go in and do the research, find the local hashtags, keep those in some sort of drive document or in the notes section of your phone or wherever, somewhere that you can just kind of easily copy and paste. And I've heard you also talk about, and you've kind of been mentioning having different clouds. Mm-hmm. You don't want to do the same 30 hashtags on every single post, right? So how many clouds would you recommend having?
I like to have 10 to work with. If that feels like a lot, honestly, having 5 to 7 to start with is a really good start. Just because if you're committing to posting to your feed 5 to 7 times a week, that gives you a new cloud for each post of the week. And it's totally fine for you to be repeating them week over week, but just not like, here's my one cloud and I'm using it 3 times in the same week. That's what we want to avoid.
And just to clarify, it's not like those are completely unique clouds. There still can be Jax is rad in all of them, but it's just a different combination of the hashtags, right?
Yeah. So that you've got kind of a different mix and it's not just literally a copy paste of the same thing every single day, but you'll find, and I can't think of them off the top of my head because I have them in my notes section, but you have a couple hashtags that for every post, that's where you show up in the top 9. And we can talk about that too, when you start finding the hashtags that work, how it works for you on the back end. But we have a few hashtags for you that it's like every time we use that hashtag, you're showing up in a top 9. So that's a hashtag that is present in almost every single one of your hashtag clouds.
So to just clarify the top 9 for those of you who are like, what the heck is she talking about? When you go to search, and you know how you can follow hashtags, or so if you go to the search button, you type in the hashtag, put whatever that is, the posts that actually come up, those are being searched through the hashtags. So if it was like, it's no way that esthetician, but if it was like hashtag esthetician,
then the one you show up in. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So I use that one a lot, but if it were hashtag esthetician, and you're searching, then one of my posts would be in the top there. So that shows like whomever is searching for that to click on it, and that's a better opportunity for them to find me or my business. So people today, and a lot of our students in the Growth Factor program, when we ask them like, hey, what's your number one referral source? They're saying Instagram. And there's at least half of them that Instagram's their number one referral source of new clients. And that's because they're using social media very strategically. They understand, having a local following, and they're coming up in the searches because today people are searching, esthetician Jacksonville, esthetician wherever, like that's a place where people are finding different things. They're looking at before and afters. They're looking at your brand. That's really your first impression. Social media is no longer like when it first started, it was like an option. I remember having to convince the spa owner, like one of the first spas that I was working at back in 2009. And I was like, we really should have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Like, this would be so cool for our business. I'll handle the whole thing. And he's like, fine, if you would just want to do it, like, that's fine. But I don't really see the value, it was like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
And now it's like a non-negotiable. Like now, if you don't have social media profiles that you're keeping active, it's like, are they still in business? What's going on with these people? Yeah.
Exactly. It's almost like a point of concern if you look up a business and they don't have, and the way I almost kind of give the comparison is that top 9 in Instagram, like hashtag search results is almost like the first page of Google in terms of the psychology. Think about it. Anytime you go to search something on Google, you're typically not going to page 2, especially if you're looking for local search.
I don't think I've ever been to page 2.
No. Exactly. And when it comes to the way people are searching on Instagram, when they're searching for something super specific, and actually I just had a conversation with my neighbor about this yesterday. She has like a personal chef that's doing stuff for her. She just had a baby. She's like, it's making my life great. I was like, how'd you find her? She said, I typed in personal chef Jacksonville into my Instagram and she's the first person that came up.
Okay, let's push pause and let me just write that down. Like personal chef DC.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure you can find it. But the thing is if you were to go search that, you would be looking at the top 9. That's who you would look to first. And that should be your ultimate goal with using hashtags and these location tags is how can I get to that like top of the scroll, top of the feed so that I am like choice number 1 and I'm the first person that someone's looking at and considering to be their option, because that's how people are searching for their service providers these days. It's just, especially because you have that visual element. And when it comes to aesthetics, that's so important because you want to see those before and afters. You want to see, hey, if I'm getting my lashes done, does this girl do a good job? Or is this the kind of style that I'm looking for? You can do a great job, but if you're not a great fit for someone, that's what the visual component is. That's why it's so powerful.
100%. Yeah. So let's move into the geotagging and talk about like, what is that? Why is it beneficial? Why should spa owners have this on their radar?
Yeah. So number 1, the algorithm thing, like we already mentioned, the more you geotag your location, the more the algorithm registers that you are in that location and will show you to other accounts and people who are in that location as well. So that's part of it. Secondly, locations are searchable just in the same way that hashtags are, where if you go to that search tab, and if anyone's like, what is the search tab? Down at the bottom of Instagram, you've got your home feed, you've got the little magnifying glass. If you click that magnifying glass, that's your search/explore tab. And in the top, if you search your location, there's a whole feed for states, cities, small neighborhoods, anywhere that you can tag. And when you're actually going to make a post, you will see that there's an option that says tag location. It's right above or below where it says tag people. And you want to use a little bit of a mix of your larger city in general, as well as hyper local neighborhoods. So just to give an example, I say I live in Jacksonville, but there's like a ton of micro communities inside Jacksonville. I live in the Riverside, Avondale area of Jacksonville. And if I had a spa here, I would be tagging Riverside, Avondale, 5 Points, which is like the neighboring little neighborhood, Murray Hill, which is the next little neighboring neighborhood. And then I would be doing Jacksonville and I'd be rotating between all of those locations so that I'm showing up in the greater search. And this is the other thing to know about the algorithm. If you are geotagging a hyper local little neighborhood, so for instance, Avondale, Riverside, my neighborhood's only like 4 miles around, I will show up in the larger Jacksonville feed too. So it's a better bang for your buck in terms of your effort.
So it's more about the neighborhood rather than like, the relaxation spa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it is nice to occasionally tag your actual business location. Maybe I would reserve that for posts where you're doing an event or mostly events is where I would tag your actual physical location. It's just not going to do as much work for you. And you should also have your actual address in your profile. So that alone people aren't going to be searching for your address through your post. They're going to go straight to your profile to click on your address there, and so that they can get directions. But if you're hosting an event, I think that's a nice little thing to do, but it's just not going to do as much work for you.
Now, I know this is a little bit off topic, but can we just touch on why businesses tag people or other businesses?
Mm-hmm.
Because I get all the time people tagging me that has nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did they tag me in this post? And I didn't understand it until you explained it. Yeah. I was like, why are they tagging me? This is so weird.
Yeah. So everyone has that part of their profile where if someone's looking at your profile, they can tab between your feed, your IGTV episodes, and photos you've been tagged in. And unfortunately, some people use that spammily. I don't think that's a word, but
we know what you mean.
Yeah, where they will tag other people in their post simply so that they, one, can try to align themselves with that account in the algorithm. Because anytime, you may notice this when you go to follow a new account, it'll say suggested accounts. It'll pop up, and it only happens when you first follow someone, where it'll say suggested accounts. And some people will try to tag you repeatedly so that you become like aligned with that account in the algorithm's eyes, or so that you show up in the tagged feed. But I'll be honest, I don't think that many people are moving over to your tagged feed to see what photos you've been tagged in, unless they're like really checking you out, which some people might. But the benefit of using those tags and the way you would properly want to use them is by aligning yourself with referral partners, micro influencers in your area, other businesses that you're trying to create partnerships with. And using tags like that strategically do help you align with other local businesses and help other people discover your account when you're doing that. Not to mention, when you tag someone in your post, it's sending a notification to them saying, hey, this person has tagged you in their post. And you can tag people in your stories and in your posts. Mm-hmm. And then that prompts them to maybe share that post to their stories or whatever. It helps create this two-way kind of traffic. So that's where it can be really powerful. And I absolutely encourage you that anytime you have a tag that makes sense, whether it's tagging that community partner or even tagging a brand, let's say you have this goal of, I want to be a rep for a brand, or I'd like to be considered an influencer for this specific skincare brand. Maybe that's a goal you have for yourself in like an educator space. It does make sense to tag those brands because it shows you as an influencer in your own right, but making sure that you're not like tagging every skincare brand under the sun when that skincare brand's not present in that photo. That's where I see the misstep happening. Mm-hmm. But that all comes down to, I think, just like what feels good too. Like you can sense if you're doing something you probably shouldn't be doing.
So kind of the non-negotiable is like, get your hashtags right. If you want to be at VIP level, do hashtags and geolocation. And if you want to be like an all-out influencer, then you do hashtags, geolocation, and strategically tagging brands and referral partners and so on. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So this just shows like how complex, like it's not just let's create a graphic and throw something up there, and this is the type of stuff that I think of when people are like, Facebook ads don't work, Instagram ads don't work. It's like, no, they work. They work just great. It's the whole social media is so complex and it changes so quickly. It's so interesting. MIT has a business school called Sloan, mm-hmm. and they just recently came out with like a social media course. And
really?
Yeah, I clicked on it. I was like, what is this? And because I follow MIT and Harvard, and they have the free education courses and do a lot of like business courses and stuff. So another great resource for those of you who are wanting to learn more about business, you can attend the best schools in the entire world for free. You don't get any piece of paper or anything like that, but you get the same exact education.
My piece of paper is still in the tube it came in. So
yeah. I don't even think I have my bachelor's degree. I don't even think I ordered it. I don't even know where it is.
Literally right over there in my cardboard tube. So.
Very important. But, the education is there if you're willing to do the work. And so anyway, their stuff always comes up on my feed. And so I saw that course and I was like, wow, that's so crazy. And I clicked on it and it's some of the most basic information, which goes to show that if the top schools in the world, which I highly, highly respect MIT, I highly respect Harvard, but social media is something that changes so quickly and digital marketing in general, that by the time a university at that scale can put something together, it just doesn't, a lot of times it doesn't translate. I mean, the algorithm changes all the time. What people are doing, you've got to be in the here and now, just testing to see what works. And it's not like it's a bad course by any means, but it's just very, very basic, fundamental things like, what are Google Analytics? How can you, it's like the most basic stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just popped into my mind. So, all right. Any last bits of advice for estheticians who are really just wanting to get their social media to the next level?
Yeah, just start somewhere and start small. Like if doing the hashtag research feels really overwhelming for you right now, just start with geotagging and get in the groove of like making that part of your process. And I promise you, because that's probably the easiest part, just start there and you will see, okay, just tacking on that like extra couple seconds of making the time to like put that location tag on there, done. Now let me move on to hashtags. And I would sit down for like block off an hour on your calendar to just do hashtag research. I do it about once per quarter, but of course, like this is my job. You could sit down for 1 hour and come up with the full list of hashtags that will serve you for like the whole year. And it's just a matter of setting aside that time and getting it done once, crafting those clouds, and then that's the hardest part of the whole thing. Once you've got it set in your note, it becomes very easy. So just know that you've got to start somewhere. And if doing the full 30 feels really hard, just start with 10. Like you can build yourself up. Done is better than perfect. And if you're using 10 hashtags versus none, that's still 10 better chances of you getting in front of your ideal client than before. So
yes, I love that. So for those of you out there, if you're liking this type of training, I want to encourage you to get signed up for our waitlist for Post with Purpose. We've got the link below here. Post with Purpose right now is closed, but we are taking names on the waitlist for when we actually reopen it. And if you're on the waitlist, you'll have access to some very special bonuses only for people on the waitlist. But in that program, our promise is to teach you how to do a month's worth of social content in just a few hours. And really the meaning behind that, why that's important, is so that you're not thinking about creating content. You can actually spend your time engaging with your followers and using social media so that you have an ROI, right? Whether you're investing your time or your money, you want a return on that investment. And that return on investment is getting new clients in the door, right? Super, super important. It's incredible what you can do with social media when it's done correctly. This episode today is just a teeny tiny taste of one of the, I think we have 25 different tech trainings in there of how to do hashtags, how to do IGTV, how to do Insta stories, there's like, we really teach you the how of how to do it so that you can grow your following and again, like get those people in the door, which is the point of why you're spending so much time with social media. So get on the wait list if that's something you're interested in. If you guys want to keep this conversation going, please head on over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group. Tag Danielle, tag myself. We're always happy to answer your questions. And we'll catch you on the next episode.